Biking lanes and biking lanes that connect throughout the entire community. We don't want to ride and then have to stop and then, cross and then go somewhere else. We want them to connect. And with those biking lanes, we talked about adding buffers between the bikes and the cars, right? Let me hear you. Okay, good. So we like that. We also wanted the bikes to connect to the parks. Yes? Vanna? Okay, so Mr. Zapata's already on that one, so that would be good. We talked about lighting. Look at that, we have a pointer. So squeeze the point. There you go. So we talked about adding lighting to the streets, more lighting for the streets, but our group was very adamant about adding ornamental lighting. We don't want those big cement posts. We want it to be ornamental, something pretty, kind of like what they do in Doral and some of the other communities around the area. We also talked about... Okay, and the street signs, as long as we're having an entrance to 137th and Kendall when you're going west. I guess coming east too from Chrome, because I think one person when we started this was talking about Chrome to this way, and the other person said 137th to Chrome. So it depends how you're looking at it. But we like the idea of a transitional area. A transitional area being, maybe go back to an agricultural kind of feel and whatever. Now, the area around Baptist Hospital, West Kendall Baptist Hospital is going to have, it's going to be designated a park, we understand, and they're going to have like exercise areas and things like that. So what she's talking about is something that they're doing at the hospital, that we are doing at West Kendall Baptist Hospital, where we will be adding the area around the lake, anyone who wants to walk. We're building a vital course around that area, and hopefully once we have that done, the parks will designate us as one of the Miami-Dade public parks. And since we're on the topic of that area around the hospital, our group spoke about adding some retail space in front of that area, bringing in some upscale restaurants, some upscale shopping area, and making it a multi-use area where maybe kind of like what they did at Dadeland, where they have restaurants, different retail businesses downstairs, and upstairs possibly having a couple of apartments. But our group felt very strongly about that not being too high. High-rises, they were a little bit opposed to that. In that area as well, they mentioned making it walkable. Make it walkable, adding maybe a couple of parks to that area, possibly civic buildings. When we say civic buildings, they're talking about maybe, what do we mean? Group? Courthouse. Oh, no, but that's not what they said, but that would be good too. So the other groups want courthouses, but we'll figure that out later on. But our group spoke about the parks, biking paths as well, and residential, and making it a multi-use area. Right, and bringing in more employment there. When she spoke about the urban expansion area, she mentioned making it a transitional area. So here we have the houses, and going on out here we have Chrome and we have the agricultural area. So the suggestion was that this should be kind of a buffer between the residential and Chrome. So as you're going out, you'll see it transitioning to a different area. And what the group suggested was making it, environmentally beautiful, eco-friendly, possibly putting in a farmer's market in that area, or maybe stables or something where our local vendors, we're so close to Chrome, all those farmers, they can come in and they could set something up, and again, generating more money into our economy. Someone also mentioned putting in horse stables in that area. Okay, another thing we talked about was the expansion of the highway, and we believe that's going to happen. The suggestion was, once the highway, that's the 826? Okay, you guys know which highway I'm talking about, right? Yeah, that one. Once it's expanded, the idea is that it's going to run from where it currently is all the way down to the entrance of Tamiami Park. So Tamiami Airport. So once it runs into Tamiami Airport, the group suggested doing like a parking garage, a parking hub, where folks can drive to the airport, park their cars there, and then just jump on an express bus to take them to Dadeland or to downtown or wherever it is they have to go to.
and whatever garage is built, whatever structure is built there, also make that multi-purpose, where folks can park upstairs, and then below that, we could have businesses like restaurants. Another thing the group talked about was doing some sort of a sporting complex. And we understand that there's already land zoned for a sporting complex. We talked about kids playing soccer. We talked about kids doing softball. We are unable to do any major tournaments in our area. We have to take all our kids outside to Weston and to other areas up north where they have the big parks. But if we were to have something similar to that, you know, at the West Kendall Park. Do you guys know where the doggy park is? On 157th Avenue. So that area across from the doggy park is already slated for a big complex. Our group is very much in support of that. Well, most of us, the majority was, but we need to let her voice, the other voices be heard as well. The majority was, and there are some that were not in support of that. Okay, so Camp Matacumbe, do you guys know where that is? That is on it's close to Tamiami, directly across from Tamiami Airport, on 120th Avenue and 137th. It kind of starts around that area. There is a lot of history associated with that area. Our group mentioned building like a community pool. Right now, I understand there's a pool in the hammocks area, but that pool is only for the folks who live in hammocks. They suggested possibly using that area that we have at Camp Matacumbe and building a community park where it'll be open to the entire community, not just, you know, folks who live in a certain area. We mentioned more access to parks. We mentioned more access to parks. We currently have parks, but the parks are not lit, so folks can't use them after a certain time. If we had more lighting in the parks and making the parks more beautiful and adding different activities at the park, not just to go and sit and look at green grass and green trees, but there has to be more for the for the kids.
I think that pretty much takes our 5 minutes. Was there anything else that you had? I just want to thank everybody for coming out today too, because okay, we're going to do park and ride because I really like this idea. And what we're talking about is over by, we have a couple that are, I think you probably already talked about it in your groups. There's one that's over by the Baptist Hospital and one by the hospital. But that only is 150 spaces where you have to park your car. And they're going to extend it, but we talked about the major transit hub to offset those as well, because there's still development going out south and west of us. And so what we would like to do is try to keep them off our streets that are there now and try to encourage more mass transit. And what else?
One final thing. So within our group, we talked about the idea of bringing in more businesses into the West Kendall area. And I shared with them a little bit of the information that I got where, you know, there are 300,000 plus residents in the area. There are 70,000 jobs. Everybody's going outside of West Kendall to work. So the idea was once we build these different places, whether it's the town center that we saw on the drawings over there, or we build one in front of the West Kendall Baptist Hospital, eventually we're going to bring more jobs into the West Kendall area, and you know, we can avoid that flow of traffic that we have. Everyone's going east for everything, whether it's restaurants, whether it's shopping, or whether it's for their jobs. We can actually stay in our own community and pump that money into our own community. So that's what our group talked about.
Thank you very much. I think we're going to go in this order here. So that means group number 6 is next. I think that's the most important group of all. This is the kids group. We have all the kids who worked on this map, come on up. And we have their assistant here is going to help us out. Gianni?
Good job, Sam. And what's your name? Give him a microphone. Cat says this is more satisfying.
Over here, just along this area, you could have a, set it so that you could have high-rise, very hot, very chic hotels all along this area, but only in that area, so that you don't have this part of the park here. You don't see high-rises so much, you know. But yet you have that beautiful view. We got an advantage of that, and the botanical gardens and a great lawn added to the band shell. so that, and, you know, it really be something, you know. I think I mentioned bike lanes, right? Okay. Over here, we got, this is mixed residential. Over here could be restaurants, high-end restaurants again, you know, because you got a beautiful area over here. This is where the government stands, right? Okay, now this over here, yeah, I'm going to give this.
So I'm Rosa. Hi. In that area there, we were thinking about a town center that included shopping, entertainment, executive offices, performing arts, museums, like a playhouse, cultural arts center. And what's really important that we haven't really discussed is a government center, our city hall, essentially, and of course a courthouse. If anyone knows, we have two courthouses that are close by, one in Sweetwater, but the next one is on 206th Street. So we really have to go far for a courthouse. We really shouldn't have to. We should have one in our backyard. Of course, the bus lanes, we need to have dedicated bus lanes for Metro Rail. We have that one delineated. We want traffic calming areas, trolley. Everyone's talking about the trolley, and I think everyone seems to be in agreement with having some trolley. Am I forgetting anything?
Okay. Yeah, the playhouse.
Playhouse. Oh, and I think we agreed that we want movie theaters out here.
Yeah, go ahead. They were saying too about like we could have like outdoor malls, outdoor type malls in this area over here as well, right?
Right, and if we want to be a destination area, we definitely need to have hotels, some kind of resort area. We will not be a destination if we don't have hotels. Our nearest hotels are on 117th Avenue. That's not fair to the area.
Okay, they're saying trolleys connecting neighborhoods, better mass transit, Metro Rail, hopefully moving straight down all the way. I mentioned about a connection to, there's another Metro Rail coming into the FIU, the South Campus, and a connection for that. They want area, you know, those circles where you got to go around, a lot of those built so that calming traffic, more walkable areas, which means not just more sidewalks, but more beautiful sidewalks, trees on the sidewalks, right?
And accessible.
And accessible, you know, and accessible. Bicycle paths, which we thought improve transit, that will walk the streets. Did we cover everything? Yes? Yeah, we did. We did? Great. We're good.
Thank you. Group number 2. Be shy. Thank you.
Hi everyone. I think I was kind of voted to be the spokesperson in my group, but if any of you guys want to come forward and join me, there was also a young man, Juan Pablo, if you also want to come up and provide your input, that would be great. You know, it's great to hear that mostly everybody wants pretty much the same things, because really what we really talked about is West Kendall being the West End with less cars and a healthier community. And I think that's a lot about. So a lot of emphasis on shade trees throughout the corridor. So lots of shade, lots of gathering places with mix of use, town centers. So the city hall, having a destination that's sort of like they're part of the community, where you go in and you learn what's going on. You have places to gather, places to walk, places to interact and get to know your neighbors. We even talked about a daily needs center in each community. So in each of the residential communities, you have a square, a grocery store, a place to sit, get your coffee, and interact and chat with your neighbors. So each community becomes a place to interact, and it's healthy living. Lots of talks about parks. So we talked about a native animal park. So a native animal park is sort of like a natural habitat for the animals that are naturally in the area, whether they be birds, dogs, squirrels, whatever the case may be. And lots of places to kind of walk, feed the animals, you know, sit and have a relaxing time. Lots of farmers markets spread throughout the community. So you can literally, it's a community that you walk. You don't need really a car. So we also talked about trolleys. So you imagine San Francisco, so you're walking, you catch a trolley, then you go have a smoothie, then you go feed the animals, and then you go and sit in a park where there's plenty of shade, and you kind of sit and chat with the neighbor that lives in the next community. Growing Organic Institute. So the Growing Organic Institute is a place where the children can learn how do we grow fruits and vegetables. So it's sort of like a great place where the community can come, have vegetables and fruits gardens, and we can teach the children, this is how we should live, and this is how we eat from the earth. And then those are sold throughout farmers markets throughout the whole community. Walk to work, that came out so prevalent. We walk in our community, we work here, trolleys, more offices and workplaces, more park and ride and bus stops throughout. And then the whole arts and culture concept. So a place where local artists can display their work, where we have school children come and display what they do, and there are also performances from the local schools, and also lots of signage of art, and that sort of enriches the whole community, gives you a sense of place in the community. We also talked about safety, so adding street lighting to walk at night and make the place safe. Juan Pablo, why don't you talk about your concept in retail stores?
Well, hello everyone. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Juan Pablo Restrepo. I work with Marcus & Millichap, which is the largest commercial real estate brokerage in the nation. And I specialize in net lease retail assets. Now, the thing that I did right here, this is 137th Avenue, and this is 88th. And this area right here, I mean, I'm pretty sure all of you are very familiar with it. I remember growing up over here, I'd always go, see, I lived by Country Walk, and there used to be nothing there until London Square got built. So most of the time, we'd always go to Kendall Drive, and you'd go here to Kmart, you got Marshalls, you got PetSmart, and you used to have Sims. Now there's a vacant building right there now. Sims is completely vacant. And I think the problem that that shopping center is having is that, you know, it's old. You go in there, it's uninviting. I think all of you can agree with me that you don't really want to go in there, maybe because you have to buy dog food for your dog. But other than that, you don't want to be in there. Now, the thing about that shopping center is it's a big piece of land. I know it's subdivided, I know there's quite a bit of parcels in there, not all of it is owned by the same owner. But a great thing to do with that land would be, in my opinion, just put some retail right along 88th, where you get the most traffic count, and that's where retailers want to be, and they'll pay a higher price per square foot, and along 137th in a lesser degree. But see, what you'd have here wouldn't be parking right in front of them. What you do is you put them up against the street, maybe do some bike lanes, things like that, and have parking garages sort of in the back. This would encourage people that they want to go to these places. Obviously, you'd have to have some anchors, some drivers, some stores that people need to go to that shopping center for. So they'll go over here, they'll park in these garages, they'll walk around, and then they'll be able to go to all of these places. Sort of what Palms Town & Country has done, which has been very successful for them. They've attracted very good tenants, up their price per square foot has been, a great addition to the neighborhood. And also you can put some mixed use, so put some residential developments right in there to make it, the same people there could just walk down and actually walk around over here, and it won't look so much like a shopping center, but sort of like a mixed use area where you live and work, well not work, but live and shop in the same place. I think it's a very central location, and depending on whether they open up that highway over there, it might make more sense to put something like this more towards the highway. But here you have a pretty good populated density from what I think, and the traffic count here I think will be around 38,000 vehicles per day, I believe. I'm not sure, but it's a very big traffic count right there. So I think that would be a pretty good development for them. Thank you.
Just two very quick notes. Talk about making streets safer and crossing times longer. So people don't have to rush to cross the street. Add signage on 4 corners of the intersections, such as the walk stop. And then there was an interesting note about policies when there's new development. So for example, that a certain percentage of new houses should have porches in front of them. So you actually walk by and you actually see people sitting on the porches, and that really allows for more interaction with neighbors. And then just lots of places to congregate and interact. And that's really what gives you the sense of community, the people interaction. So that's funny.
Thank you. All right, last but not least, group number 3.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Lawrence Percival. We've been privileged today to create a vision for our community, but the only way this vision is going to come into reality is if we are successful as a community to become a city. And Commissioner Zapata has sponsored 2 municipal advisory committee groups to study the incorporation of West Kendall into 2 cities. One portion of it will be north of Kendall Drive, another portion would come south all the way down to 152nd Street. But for the enhanced services of things that you've presented in your ideas today, for those things to happen as UMSA, which is unincorporated municipal area, it won't happen. So the only way a lot of these things, you talked about the ideas of having fancy street lighting, things of that sort. All those enhancements aren't going to come from Miami-Dade County government. If we don't have our own city, and we don't have our own ability to decide what millage rate and taxation we would want to have, those things aren't going to happen as much as we would like to see them. The county government doesn't have the wherewithal to provide that for us. So keep that in mind when future discussions come up about issues related to why or why not having a city. Enough on that part. We've been privileged today to have with us, is a part of our citizenry vision, is representatives from some of the land that is part of our area. The developers and the lawyers who represent them are here today to hear from you the things that you would like to see on those properties. But at the end of the day, the developer makes the decision. In fact, the most important property here is this property. This is the property just north of Budding Baptist Hospital. They're here to listen today. They want to get input. They're not making any commitments, but by rights, the property which they bought from another developer that went out of business, they have zoning approval. If they wanted to start tomorrow, they could build what they want to build that's been approved. But they're here to listen, to see what your needs are, and to consider them, and to take them in under advisement, if you will, as a part of their plan of what they might want to change from what they've already have in mind of what they would do without this input. So that being said, just for a moment, the developer company is Howard Hughes Corporation. And sir, just stand up and just wave your hands and say hi. So that you know that they're here to listen and to get the input that's needed. In addition, we have another developer who has the property that's up here and the property abutting it. And some of those areas are outside the urban development area in what is called the urban development expansion area. And in the zoning cycle, they have a period of time, every so many years and odd years, where you can come before the Board of County Commissioners and ask for developments in those areas to be approved. And since some of that area is outside the UDB and some of it is inside, they're here and they're going to talk in a few minutes and give you a conceptual rendering of some ideas that they have. The other is going to actually show you a plan, not you, the other. It's going to show you their renderings of what they're proposing on their property. So I'd like to ask Octavio if he would come up first and present the vision. If you would bring your show and tell, please. Octavio is the architect for the developer.
Thank you very much, and I'm glad to be here today. I've picked up quite a few ideas of what is requested of our plan, and we have a vision of tweaking it. But basically, more of what we had in mind was we're located on this portion, which is the intersection of Kendall and Chrome Avenue. And what we wanted to produce there is a mixed-use development with a type of live and work and shop type of community. And we felt that that was the right location because it's at the beginning of the corridor, even though it's not part of the line, but we would like to make it. And we have the same wishes as the rest of the community has. As far as lighting, we were talking about the park and ride, and we were proposing to put a park and ride also in our spot because we think that's a great concept. We talked to, I think, Monica about that, and we also like the enhancement of the lighting, landscaping, and larger trees, Kendall. I believe if that's going to happen, the right-of-way has to be expanded to accommodate that. We also have, we're going to incorporate some bike paths within our development, which we hope that they will follow and do it along the other rest of the developments. We also felt that the corridor and the destination, we're very much concerned of what's going to go on here. And we know that this is set in stone out here, and we wanted to make it a part of our development. We're very much looking at what's going on here, which is a very nice mixed-use development, also like ours, at a much larger scale, of course. And we wanted to upgrade the corridor. And basically, that's it.
Thank you, Octavio. The next parcel is the bigger chunk of property that's here, and we're going to ask Eric, who is the architect for the developer, to give you some conceptual overviews of what he's proposing.
Good afternoon. Actually, I'm also the architect for Kendall Square. Have any of you ever been out there? See it? It's that large parcel that's right here. So we're doing this project, it's 160 acres, and it's almost all built out very well. It's actually, you'll see that it's going to have a mix of, it's got single-family townhouses, apartments. It's going to have actually mixed-use project, and there with retail to ground, residential above. Very much in line with a lot of the ideas we're all talking about. Major plaza down the middle, all these concepts that I hear. Well, I'm also the architect and planner, as well as with me is my wife, which is actually, I work for her, right? She's here. You want to get up, Estella, and say hi? Yes. Come on. And as well as Yukai from my office. Yukai, you're out there, you know. I'm responsible for looking at an area that's 650 acres. Everything that's north of Kendall Drive, that goes from Kendall Drive all the way to 64th, from 167th all the way to Chrome. So I've been looking at that, I've been listening to everybody's comments. We have visions, ideas of things that we want to do there. You've talked about farmers market. Well, one of the concepts we have in mind was actually for all, there's a concept of doing, any of y'all familiar with vertical farming? What that is, right?
Yes.
The idea of actually instead of just growing vertically, I mean horizontally, your agriculture, you actually grow it vertically. Come on, how many of you have been to Disney? You've seen it in Disney. It's a great thing. Anyways, we're actually, what we're proposing is that we would integrate some vertical farming into the project equivalent to the amount of area that we're consuming, that we're looking at possibly, if we're given the opportunity 5-10 years from now, to come in and actually do something here, that we would actually put in some vertical farming in the project that would allow us to actually replace 100% of all the agricultural land that we would be coming in and taking. That in combination with technical park and business park and so forth would allow us to actually provide as many as we calculated 10,000 jobs, or a large percentage of jobs. So the idea that I heard out there what do we do to try to make sure that just we don't have to travel that way to work? Well, we're proposing that what we would do here would actually integrate plenty of work for equivalent to just basically a large place of work for the people that are here. Another concept we have is actually breaking it down into going from the what you have now, the townhouses that are there, go from the townhouses to like a midtown scenario, downtown scenario here. Different densities. That different densities overall in the project, from what our calculations were, would be equivalent to about the same amount of density that you have on your project over on your where you all are. Again, it's integrating, also integrating a network of greens and green areas and waterways and the bus system. And actually what this is suggesting is that we want the bus system to continue within our project because we want to make it an integral part of the overall design. What else can I say? So we're listening to what you're saying and we have ideas, we've drawn things up, but I've heard about what everybody's saying and we're going to definitely want to go back to our boards and one day in the future, when we actually do come back before the board, before the staff, and way in the future, we'll be able to actually get everything together. Thank you.
Some other pieces of importance relative to the property that's here. If we become a city, we need to have a town center. And the most logical place for that town center, obviously, from other people's comments, is here. And it's up to the developer as to whether or not he's going to be able to make provisions from his commercial property to allow for municipal facilities on his property. Just as an observation from a personal point of view, if we're going to allow some of these things, we're going to have to be considerate and look at the density increases that are going to be needed. And some people don't like the idea of density increase, but unfortunately, if we're going to have the things that we want to have, you can't have them with 2- and 3-story levels. And where it's appropriate, and for all of us to be open-minded to this idea, where it's appropriate within this property, there could be bufferings around the area with shorter, lower density, and in the middle, potentially higher density if you want parking garages, if you want a government center, if you want a movie theater, along with mixed-use retail and restaurants, things like that. You're going to have to allow it to go up. If you don't allow it to go up, the developer has no obligation to put a government center on his property. He has no obligation. He could set aside some land. As an example, I understood him to say that they conceptually had in mind dedicating 100,000 square feet for municipal use. Whether it's library or courthouse or a government center, whatever it might be, with the need for him to generate the income to pay for all these things, you can't do that with 2 or 3 stories. So keep that in mind, be open-minded about how these things all fit together. The most important part of all of this is when we move forward to create more jobs, more density, more people in our area, we have a transportation problem that we all know about. Kendall Drive is not the solution to that, it's a piece of it. Miami-Dade Expressway Authority has a plan that we would also like to mention as a part of this. They're studying the possibility of extending 836 past 137th Avenue, along, maybe coming east along 137th Avenue, or possibly even down to Chrome. Whatever their plans are, it's a 5-year study, and they'll come back with recommendations at the appropriate time. But there is one other alternative. Not to replace that plan, but to augment it, and that is, where's Chrome Avenue here? Up, down here. Thank you, okay. There is a railroad that runs along there called the CSX Railroad. There's a concept where you can take rubberized wheels and put on the passenger train and allow transportation for people to use the rail line to go both north and then east, as well as south and then east. and connect in to the other existing roadways that Miami-Dade Expressway Authority has, or other surface transportation roads that are maintained by the state and even the county. There's a lot of wonderful things that we can do, and the vision that we're all presenting to the county today, to zoning and planning, I believe is not going to wrap up today, but there'll be additional opportunities to come back and continue to tweak this and finish up with a work product that we can all say is representative of the needs of the residents of West Kendall. And hopefully we're going to have a city, my personal view, so that we can do these things. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We just have a couple of announcements. Ingrid from the District 11 Commissioner's Part has an announcement.
Hi everyone, how's it going? Great. Okay, good. You're still awake. I wanted to say thank you, firstly, for coming out. It's a sizable turnout, so I appreciate your involvement and your input. I'm not going to take up too much of your time. All I wanted to say was a lot of the things that you were mentioning, the farmers market, the bike paths, are things that the commissioner is actually already working on. We have initiatives in place. We are formulating master plans and ideas. So if you are interested in any of these topics, please reach out to me. I'm the community engagement person in the office, and so meet with me. We have committees. I'm forming a bike committee for those of you who really want to push for bike paths and things like that, because that is something that the commissioner finds very near and dear to his heart. So things like that, if you are interested, please reach out to me, and I'd be happy to touch base with you. Okay, that's it.
Okay, we have one late addition. Come on up, very quick.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Kendall, and as a member of the community in which we all live, I'm going to take a minute just to make a comment based on the boards that were here. There were interesting points touched in each of the boards. One of them, it got my attention. Everybody's focused on 88th Street. But before we get into that point, the main idea of this charrette today, I would like everybody to think that before making 88th Street the main, as it's been since always, the main venue of at least what's in Kendall corridor, we need to think that whatever it gets done to this community, it needs to be focused not only in the transportation or for the transportation or for the vehicles, but we need to focus in the pedestrians. We have a large community with a lot of youngsters and with a lot of seniors. We live in a suburbia way outside downtown, and we don't have pedestrians. When we see someone walking in Kendall Drive, everybody goes like, no, this person's gonna get run over by a car. And that it shouldn't be. We live with, most of us are Latin, proceeding from other countries, and we know that if we don't have a hub area with gathered people, and these people are capable to be getting to these places without having to have a car, we're not going to be successful. Yes, there's hundreds, thousands of cars that everybody gets every day, but we need to focus on our young and the kids and the older community, the people, our seniors. We need to be focused into that. So please, before any development, before any community that's going to be bigger, it's going to grow, it's going to make successful into business, into mixed communities and everything, we need to focus. One point is the sidewalks need to be wider. If you think of wider sidewalks, you're going to have the opportunity to introduce the bike into the sidewalks. If anybody has a minute and check Curitiba, Brazil, and Bogota, Colombia, you're going to be able to see how these cities were chaotic in the transportation system. It was impossible to live in these areas. They created in the middle of the streets, the main avenues, a fast lane for these big buses, and then 2 or 3 lanes for small transportation vehicles. But the main area, which is the sidewalks, they became areas for people to be on bikes and skates and for pedestrians, with a lot of green potential in those areas. We're talking about 10, 12 feet of sidewalks. And I guarantee you, anything that comes after that gets resolved, it will be successful. Everybody would love to come and live at this end. It will be the best Kendall West area. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Doug from Transit wanted to make a short announcement also.
Thank you, Jess. Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be here with you today and listen and learn what you have to say about this area. I'm with Miami-Dade Transit. Some of you I spoke with, and you've taken the time to come over and visit our table over here and pick up a survey. Just want to encourage you to fill out those surveys today if you can before you leave. Detach the survey, hold on to the information. Please visit our website. We're going to be making announcements about upcoming meetings regarding the 10 Ahead plan or our transit development plan, which sets the vision for Miami-Dade Transit for the next 10 years, involving service improvements and capital improvements related to any of those service projects that you all tell us you want to see in the community. So with that, just thank you, and please, if you get a chance, please drop off your surveys. Pick up some additional surveys for folks that you may know that want to fill one out. We will be having a 14-question online survey that will include those 2 questions but go into more detail. In addition to that, I want to encourage any of you all, if you have a community group, maybe 40 or 50 people that would like us to come out and give a presentation and answer questions, we're willing to do that. We've just seen you about that, and I'd be happy to get your information. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Before we take some questions, I just wanted to make a quick announcement. Again, as Shalindra had mentioned earlier in the presentation, the county planning staff, we will be working in Commissioner Zapata's office starting Monday from about 9:30 until 7:30 in the evening. So if anybody that you know wasn't able to come today, they can come by and chat with us, take a little look at what we're working on. We'll be working on taking your ideas from these drawings and compiling them into some additional initial concept plans. And we will come back to you in the next couple of weeks or a month or so from now with a follow-up meeting. And so to present the work from next week and these drawings back to you, so you can take a look at the compilation of all the ideas that we heard today. So, of the district office, I'm sorry, I don't know what else to top of my head.
Hi, my name is Bianca. I work for Commissioner Zapata. The district office, the actual street address is 8785 Southwest 165th Avenue. That's Suite 203. It, what is it, just west of LA Fitness? Yeah, so it's right on Kendall Drive. Right. And since I do have the microphone, I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you all for coming out and sharing your thoughts and ideas. I also wanted to give a special thank you to Baptist, who provided the goodie bags you have in front of you, as well as the breakfast that we enjoyed, and TD Bank, who provided the lunch as well. So I just want to echo again, please, we open our doors and welcome any of you to come by this week to give any more thoughts, or for anybody who has not had the opportunity to come today to come and share with us. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. And we have Mayra Diaz here from MDX. She'd like to make a brief announcement.
Thank you very much for your participation today, and thank you, Miami-Dade County Department of Planning and Zoning, for inviting us. We, as you were informed briefly at the tables, we have a project extension of State Road 836, the Dolphin Expressway, and it's starting right now, the planning level study. And we expect and hope to have a kickoff public meeting around May. So if you already signed the signing sheet, we will be happy to distribute the invitation so you can participate as well. We would like to your involvement in that project. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayra. Let's take a few questions. We don't want to hang out here too long. We have to pack up and be out of here by 3. Yes.
Okay, my name is Martha Backer, and I've asked for this charrette over the years, and like at least the last 5 or 6 years, and I'm so glad that we've done it today. But I felt like my legs were cut off at the knees when Lawrence got up there and brought up the developers. And no disrespect, and I know how long the zoning process takes. So what my question is there a way that you can work with the county, with the used company and whatever, and let them use those properties, maybe for the farmer's market to get some things out there before we get, because zoning takes a few years to do and whatever else. And I'm just asking, as long as y'all are sitting here, and I've gone to the zoning meetings, and I know that it does take a while to do. So I was just wondering if you could talk with the county and maybe we could do something to get started now. And then I disagree with what Lawrence also said about we have to become a city. I think that it's real possible that the county, since we're a donor community, can come up with money to put up. I saw it in West Perrine. There's a sign that says we're West Perrine. There's signage, there's street lights, there's things that we can do to make us look like a cohesive community without becoming a city, because that too is going to take a little bit of time. So, you know, just in rebuttal.
Thank you. You want to come up or?
Pretty big mouth, but okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Esther Garvett, and I am one of the Miami-Dade County public teachers in this neighborhood. And I'm an original person in this neighborhood for the last 34, 35 years. So I was here before 147th went any further than 147th. Everything stopped at 147th Avenue. And I have to be honest with you, I'm horrified. All due respect to the architects and the developers, I know you have a job to do. Can you go architect and develop in some other neighborhood? I don't want this. I don't want a township in West Kendall. I moved to West Kendall because I wanted quiet. I wanted nature. I liked the farms. I liked the woods. This was, at one time when I was a little kid, born and raised here, this was the Everglades. I don't see nature the way I would like to see it. I don't want any development out here. I don't want MDX. I think all MDX people should have to go to jail and sit there for what they are doing to this county. I've already paid for the roads. I don't need MDX charging me so I can use the roads I'm already paying for. So thank you very much, and I hope I'm not the only one that feels this way.
Okay, thank you. One last question, and okay, we got two hands up.
I have a question. If you could explain to me, you know, we're putting this designing in front of this hospital. I just wanted to understand, since it's a regional hospital, what that traffic is going. What's the expectation for the traffic from an emergency standpoint? But we have all these cars coming in.
Well, I believe there's approved development for several 100,000 square feet of a commercial space. So they analyzed the traffic when the development was approved. So, you know, as it was approved, it was, you know, determined to be adequate with the roadway improvements they did. So if something is different, then they'll have to analyze the traffic again. That's the best I can tell you.
Hi, I'm Janice Martone, and I'm just a resident here, and I've never got up and spoke in front of anybody before, but I want to say that the pictures that the developers have of their vision for West Kendall, I don't see that it represents all the maps and everything that we just took the time to draw. I don't see any bike lanes, I don't see any green spaces, I don't see any parks. I don't see people walking in the community, and I guess this is another example of concrete and buildings, and that's what the developers have for us. And I don't like it. And I don't think it represents all the diagrams that we just took the time, 3 or 4 hours to draw. Thank you.
Sorry. Okay, one last question.
Hi guys, I'm Pastor Rob Myers. I'm the pastor of the Church by Target on Kendall Drive, Miami Baptist Church. Just so you know, we just built an earthen amphitheater for the community to do wonderful productions in. We're hoping to find some corporate sponsors to help us get through the quagmire of the regulations to put up lighting and stuff like that. For evening concerts on the weekends for your kids, to bring your own armchair amphitheater. You bring your own blanket, you bring your own armchair, you sit out. We had a Christmas on the Green with Ferguson High School and Varela High School. Warsa's coming over. We want to do things for the community and bless our community. And we need to think in terms of the longevity of the community, every aspect. And so in our development, we need to keep in churches, keep in mind our houses of worship. I don't see any of those on our planning as the community expands. And I think the biggest concern a lot of people have is the traffic that's going to be generated, and where are you going to go with that? And that's, there's a necessary evil with MDX. You've got to move people around, and you've got to look at the traffic that we already have. And I know the space that was behind us was never designated to be townhomes and concrete jungle back there behind Target. It was supposed to be green space, and it's gotten into the development, and we're into that realm now. The thing is to find the best solution for everybody, to create better schools, to create better income, to create a better community, and to be a community together, work together, and come up with plans. Now, Commissioner Martinez did a good job with our district, and now Zapata's in. And we've got to work with these guys, and they can't work in a vacuum. They have to hear from you, and even if you disagree with them, they'll sit there and they'll listen with you. And we need to come up with plans that work for everybody. And I think there's win-wins. There's win-wins for the developers and for us. In the development, I'd like to see us stop doing the straight line development and get something closer to what you see on the east side of Orlando, where you have more trees and you have more winding roads and you don't have row homes. And so we're trying to maximize the amount of people in a property, and that's a little bit difficult at times. We need to palm up. Now, I know Zapata likes oak trees, but I don't like oak trees when you have to trim them out from underneath the power lines. And they grow up, they look ugly around the power lines. We got to come up with a better plan for that. But we have a great system. You're here, you're participating in your government, and I applaud you. And I think we all need to get involved and make this the most wonderful place to live for the next few generations. And we got to pull together to do that. And we can do it by being gracious to one another in kind, and disagreeing in kindness, and working together and pulling together. So let's pull together and make this, whether it's a city, I don't really care, whether it's a city or a government or a local body, we need to pull together, and we can do that. And the best stamp that we can put on this area is taking care of our kids, loving our teachers, having the best schools, and the best system of government. And our system is good because you're here. I just want to say that, and I want to thank you guys from the county office for being here and actually hearing your people, because your government, this is what it's supposed to be about. Of the people, by the people, and for the people. And I'm just grateful to see everybody here.
Thank you very much. Stephanie from Commissioner Zapata's office also would like to make an announcement.
2 quick announcements. I just want to say, if you have any more room in your stomach, we have some food still left over here, so don't be shy. Take what's left. And then last but not least, I also want to echo that. Can we please have a big round of applause for the planning staff for being here, for being here. Thank you for your time.
And thanks Stephanie and the rest of the District 11 staff and Commissioner Zapata for sponsoring this process. We really appreciate you coming and participating, and please make sure that you've signed in so we can communicate with you for future meetings. Thanks again, and enjoy the rest of the weekend.